There are three must-haves in order to crush anxiety or OCD. I'm going to tell you what they are. Stay tuned. That's what's up next. Hi, my name is Natasha Daniels. I'm a therapist and make videos for people with anxiety or OCD. And I want to talk to you about what I've seen in my practice, in my own home with my kids, and with my own issues. These are the three must-haves to crush anxiety or OCD. And that doesn't mean that if you don't have them, you're not going to crush anxiety or OCD, but it means if you can fine-tune and work on these three areas, you are going to crush it because these are the most important elements. So stay tuned. We're going to talk about what those are. But before I get started, don't forget to hit subscribe, hit the bell so you get notified when I make new videos, which come out every Thursday. Okay, so let's talk about this. Anxiety and OCD are tricky. They are overwhelming, and it is very easy to just give in to your anxiety or your OCD so that you can feel some brief relief. But unfortunately, the more we do that, the bigger it grows. So here are three must-haves to crush anxiety or OCD. The first one is getting out of denial. We don't want to be in the river of denial because when we deny that it is our anxiety or OCD, or we spend a lot of energy telling ourselves, and worse, other people around us, hey, that's not my anxiety, or hey, that's not my OCD. I just don't like that, or I just don't want to do that. Or to myself, it's just a habit. Whatever lie you're telling yourself or those people around you, that's going to be a barrier. That's going to stop you from making progress. So the first must-have is honesty with yourself and, if you can, with other people around you, but most importantly yourself. What is and what is not anxiety or OCD for you? And we kind of know in our gut of guts what is our anxiety or OCD issue. If you're avoiding something or doing something in a certain way, you know deep down that it's making your anxiety or OCD happy. And that is just a simple question that you can ask yourself. Is my anxiety or OCD happy that I'm doing this or avoiding this? And if you can feel a little anxiety or OCD happy dance going on in your head, then more often than not, it's probably your anxiety or OCD. If it's not making your anxiety or OCD happy, then you're probably doing something right. Okay, on to the second must-have. The second must-have I covered in a YouTube video, and I will leave that link in the description below. But I want to mention it here too because it's so important, and that is the two powerful ways to beat anxiety or OCD on a daily basis. So there's offense and defense, and I talk about this a lot. And so defense is when OCD or anxiety is coming at you. And so it might be, making you feel really nervous about going somewhere, or it might make you feel nauseous, or it might make you feel like, oh my gosh, I don't want to touch that, or I don't want to say that, or I don't want to think that, or I need to do this or do that, whatever. It's so different for each person. But that's defense. That's anxiety or OCD coming at you really strong, and then you're deciding what to do with that. And so in that moment, you might say, I'm going to face my fears, or I'm going to face my discomfort. I might actually touch that thing, or I might actually do that thing. Or if it's a compulsion, I'm not going to do what OCD wants. I'm not going to do that thing that OCD is begging me to do. Again, obviously it looks different for each person. But defense is your reaction to your anxiety or OCD. And you can be super powerful in this. And this is a very important component, is how you show up and how you handle those defensive moments when anxiety or OCD is knocking at your door. So you might be really powerful in those moments. You might say, I'm not going to feed my anxiety or OCD. Anxiety or OCD is knocking on my door, and I'm going to choose to do something or avoid something or do something. It's going to look different depending on what anxiety or OCD is telling you to do or avoid. But I'm going to do the opposite of what they want me to do. So I might touch that thing that OCD doesn't want me to touch, or I might go to that activity that anxiety wants me to avoid, or I might eat that food that anxiety or OCD doesn't want me to eat. It will look different for each one of you, but that's defense. And then offense, the second part of this, is purposely triggering your anxiety or OCD. And purposely triggering your anxiety or OCD is doing something, unprovoked. And so a lot of times people will say, I'm working on my anxiety or OCD 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, because I'm doing hard things all the time. That's defense. And defense is really good, but you want defense and offense. You need offense. Offense is strong. It's powerful. You need both ideally. If you want to start with defense, that's great. But don't forget, you want to move into offense. So what is offense? Offense is purposely doing something that your anxiety or OCD will freak out about. It can start small, really small. Maybe you touch a little something that your OCD is like, oh, you're not going to touch that. Or you say something your OCD says, you're not going to say that. Or you go somewhere and you do something that your anxiety says, oh my gosh, you're not going to go there. You're not going to do that. You're not going to volunteer and raise your hand in class. You're not going to text that thing to that person. Yeah, I'm going to. I'm going to do it on purpose as an offense. Offense is doing something unprovoked, unannounced to anxiety or OCD to rock that boat and let anxiety or OCD know that you can handle discomfort. And in fact, you're inviting it in. And so that's the second must have or must get in order to, grow your anxiety and OCD muscles. Now, the third one is really important, and it's a two-parter as well. So stay with me. The third one is self-love and self-motivation. So a lot of selves in there. Your relationship with yourself and how you handle anxiety or OCD is really important. And so if you are depending on everybody else around you, whether it is a parent, a partner, your therapist, or somebody else, your friend, to call out your anxiety or OCD, to tell you not to do something that's your anxiety or OCD, or to, nag you about working on your anxiety or OCD, and you're the one that's like, I don't want to, or, I don't have to, that's not going to work out. Because this is your journey, this is your deal, and your parents, your partner, your friends, your therapist are just there to support you. But the only constant in this is going to be you. You are going to move schools, you're going to have different friends, you're going to have different employees and different bosses, you're going to have different partners as you evolve, you're going to live in different places. The one constant is you. You're taking you everywhere. And so if you're not fighting this battle like more than everybody else, if you're not the one leading the charge in this journey of, making yourself better, then that's something to work on. Because I haven't seen anybody really progress and do well long term if they are not the one that is in charge or leading their ability to crush anxiety or OCD. So you're not waiting for your parent to tell you, did you do an exposure? You're not waiting for your therapist to say, did you do your homework? You're not waiting for your partner to say, I can't offer you that reassurance. Remember, we talked about that. You're not waiting for any of that stuff. In fact, if somebody does, if your parent or your partner or your therapist, even if they're not an OCD therapist, is doing something that's actually growing your anxiety or OCD, they're giving you reassurance or they're telling you it's okay when you know that's actually growing your OCD, then it would be your job to say, hey, don't tell me that. Don't reassure me or don't clean that off for me. And I know that's scary and I know that's hard, but that's taking charge. And the last component, I'm actually going to make a whole video on this for next week, so stay tuned, subscribe so you don't miss this, is my cheesy thing, so stick with me, is self-love. And so you have to have self-compassion. What's your relationship with yourself? And this is why I think it really requires an entire video on this, is do you cheer yourself when you're doing something to face your anxiety or OCD, or are you constantly ripping yourself and telling yourself, oh my gosh, you're never going to get better, and why did you do that, and you suck so bad, and oh my gosh, you haven't done any of that, and you're never going to do anything, and what's wrong with you? Or are you uplifting? And are you compassionate to yourself when you fall off the OCD or anxiety horse and you do compulsions or you avoid things and you're growing your anxiety or OCD, but you feel like, I just couldn't do it today? Are you compassionate with yourself? Or do you say, yeah, then you're never going to be anything? What's that voice? I'm going to do a whole video on that because I think that's really important. So to recap, the 3 must-haves, if I can remember them, is the first one is to not be in denial, to recognize your anxiety or OCD. Don't ignore it and pretend it's not your anxiety or OCD. And the second one is to use my two-pronged process. There's a link below on a video where I talk about it, where you're playing defense and offense. You are responding to anxiety and OCD in the moment and walking towards fear and discomfort, and you're also punching it in its face and doing things that make it uncomfortable on purpose, unprovoked. Offense and defense for the second one. And the third one is, who's in charge of this? Is everybody else but you in charge of your battle with anxiety or OCD? Or some people don't like the word battle. Some people like to take a more peaceful approach to their anxiety and OCD and do what's right for you. I like battle for myself, but it might be different for you, right? Your education or your, building up your skills, whatever language you want to use. But who's in charge of that? If it's not you, if you say, yeah, the one that's the most like excited or the one that's most like, let's go, rah, rah team is my mom or is my therapist, then we got to work on that one. And the last one, but the most important one, is your relationship with yourself, right? If you are like a Debbie Downer, like, oh my gosh, you suck so bad, you can't even do anything right. If this is going on in your head, which I know can sometimes be part of anxiety or OCD, we have to work on this too. We want it a little bit more in the loving category. Okay, stay tuned for next week for that extra video on how to do that a little bit further. I hope that you find the sparkle in everything you do. Work on those 3 because most of us don't have those, but they are really good to get and build. All right, don't forget to find the sparkle in everything you do. I'll talk to you again next Thursday. Take care.